we're continuing now with this idea of interventions and what works to promote resilience in the face of adversity for child refugees and also for their families and communities. And, you know, there is no, I think it's important to say that there is no silver bullet. There is no answer. There is no one answer to this. So rather than suggest that there is an answer, what we're presenting now are 3 case studies of specific approaches. And you should listen to them thinking not only about your sort of journalistic needs in terms of access and things, but also for the germs of story ideas, for approaches that are embedded in these programs that you might find elsewhere in your reporting. Begin to think about ideas, because of course after lunch we are going to transition into the part of the program that is more focused on stories and on journalism and involving children, families, and these kinds of programs in your work. Let me do quick introductions of our speakers, each of whom I'm going to hold to a very strict 15 minutes or less standard. Keep an eye on me and also on Ariel. Both of us will be giving you the high sign when your time is up, okay? And then we'll go to conversation in the room. We'll go through all 3 conversations first. So keep track of your questions, and we'll see how we go. So we have, in sort of physical order related to me, we have Rana Dajani, PhD, who's developed a community-based model to encourage children to read with pleasure. We love reading. Rana participated in one earlier Dart Center program on this, and I will just say that I think if you don't know her program, you're in for a treat. Based in Jordan, WLR has spread to more than 30 countries around the globe and has received numerous honors, including the 2009 Synergos Award for Arab World Social Innovators, membership in the Clinton Global Initiative in 2010, and I could go on. Lots of awards. Rana herself has been an Eisenhower Fellow, a 2-time Fulbright alumnus, an associate professor and director of Center of Studies at Hashemite University in Jordan, a visiting professor at the Yale Stem Cell Center in New Haven, Connecticut, where I live, a visiting scholar at the University of Cambridge. I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to do that, because then I'd have to do that for everybody else, because they're all equally great, and it would take up way too much time. I'm going to do out of order. I'm going to do Muna next, because her biography is right in front of me. Sorry, folks. The jet lag is showing. Never mind. I will do Manar. Manar Shukri is a regional early childhood development technical lead for the International Rescue Committee. She's program leader for the Sesame Seeds project in Jordan, which is what we'll be hearing about, part of Sesame International, which provides early education for refugee children. She began her career as a kindergarten teacher before moving into policy design, research, and strategy for national and international organizations. She implements programs involved in advocating for the rights of children and their caregivers in the area of early childhood development. She's developed kindergarten curricula, national readiness program, holds a BA from the University of Jordan, and an MA in early childhood education and development from the University of Huddersfield. And finally, come on, Bruce, be a good reporter. Always prepared. Finally, Muna Abbas. Muna is the head of mission for Plan International in Jordan, which supports early development and access to quality education for vulnerable children. She oversees the design and implementation of humanitarian and development programs focused on education, children's rights, child protection, early childhood development, girls' rights, and women's empowerment. She's been involved in child advocacy for 20 years. Prior to her current job, she held management positions at United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees and Save the Children. These are 3 of the most qualified people on the planet, with so many decades of immersion in this field between them. Rana, take us where we need to go.
right. Assalamu alaikum. Ahlan wa sahlan jami'an. I'm going to speak in English, but I know there's a translation so that everybody can understand. I understand both languages, so I'm fine. I'm actually half Syrian, half Palestinian with a Jordanian citizenship. That's how I introduce myself. So I kind of belong everywhere and relate to a lot of the experiences that are going on. Bruce introduced me very well. Thank you very much. I actually wrote a book recently while I was at Harvard, and it's called 5 Scarves, Doing the Impossible. I urge you to read it. I was reviewed in Nature, and it talks a lot more about the different roles that I play. I'm a biologist. I'm a scientist. And a long time ago, there were 2 groups of people. There were a group of people who told stories around a fire, and there were a group of people who looked at those who were telling stories and frowned upon them, that they're wasting their time. But you can imagine which one of those 2 groups actually survived today. It was the storytellers. So in the spirit of evolution, I'm going to tell you a number of stories about We Love Reading. First of all, reading itself for fun is very, very important. I mean, it broadens the horizons, the imagination. It increases the vocabulary of a child. The children want to go to school. It relates in them doing better in academia and then later finding better jobs. But more importantly, it also increases their empathy, their communication skills, their listening skills, and they learn about other people's experiences by reading the stories. And they become the heroes that they read about because they get the courage from reading for fun to actually be the change makers in their community. So reading for fun is very important. Unfortunately, reading for fun is not something we find around us, although maybe children in some contexts do read, but they don't read for fun. They read because it's a chore, it's school, it's boring, and so on. Now, so I asked myself a question. Since reading for fun is so important, how do we get these kids to want to read? And it turns out the reason they don't read is because they don't love to read. There's no love, there's no passion. So the question became, how do you plant the love of reading among children? And through a number of research and observations, both locally and internationally. Oh, sorry. Okay. Does that count from my 15 minutes?
We're not counting words.
Okay. These are reporters. They count words. All right. Okay. I'll try to go slower.
The translators have been working very hard.
I know. I appreciate the translators. Yes, thank you very much. They're great. All right. Have the translators caught up? I'm assuming they have. All right, so how do you plant the love of reading? And we found out through research and observations, the way to do that is by the parent or the caregiver reading aloud to the child, as early as even when the mother is pregnant. Because what happens in the brain of the child, there's a connection in the neurons between the feeling of security, happiness, and love with reading that stays with the child as they grow up. So when you're happy, you want to read. When you're sad, you want to read. It gives you this good feeling. You don't know where it comes from, but it comes from that time when you were with your somebody who loves you and took care of you. So we found the solution. It's about parents reading aloud to their kids. And that's how it stays with, you become a lifelong learner. You become a lifelong reader because of that connection in your brain. So the question was, it's impossible to go around and train every parent to read aloud. And even if we passed the law, who's going to necessarily listen to the law? So I felt this kind of responsibility that if you have knowledge, you have to do something with it, or as reporters, you have to write about it. And I thought, and I was inspired by both my religion, that everyone is a guardian, and by other people around the world, like Gandhi, when he said, be the change you want to see in the world. You don't have to wait for things to happen. You be the change. So what I did is I started a reading program in my neighborhood. And it was a 3-year process of trial and error. We call it human-centered design now. I like to call it evolution, where I gathered the kids in a public space. And in my case, I did it in the mosque, because the mosque is open and free, and anybody could come and visit. And the mosque was really excited. They invited the kids to come. Now, the kids didn't want to come, by the way. It was the parents who forced them to come because they heard reading in a mosque. Wow, this is cool. Education, religion. The kids didn't want to come. It was Saturday morning, but our kids are obedient. They listen to their parents. So they came. But when they came, I had dressed up in a funny hat, and I had chosen books in the Arabic language, because if you're going to read for fun, it has to be in your native tongue and from the culture and context. And they were purely for fun. There was nothing educational in them, no messages or themes or ideology. And the kids, of course, fell in love with the books. And what I do with them is I tell them to line up after I read. That's me after I read to them the stories, I give them the stories, and then they take them back home. And so either they start reading by themselves, and even if they can't read, they look at the pictures and make up a story, or they start begging their parents to read to them. So in a way, we flip the equation. Rather than going in through the parent, we're going in through the child. And that's really important because you empower the child to be the champion of reading in the home. And that's it. That's all you want, because if they love to read, they will find books, they will want to go to school, they want to keep on reading forever. And they start reading to their siblings, to their peers, to their friends. And so you create an environment that's very much aware of reading and the importance of reading. So this program now, we called it We Love Reading. It's actually 2 parts. We train adults from age 16 to 100 years old, men and women, any context. They don't have to be highly educated. All they have to do is read a children's book in their native tongue. So we train them how to read aloud as an art, because nobody read to them. They don't know how to do it. And we train them how to start their own reading circle. We call it a We Love Reading library. It's not a physical space. It's a living experience. It's the kids and the reader reading together in a public space. So we train them in a way to be social entrepreneurs, because when they go back to their neighborhood, they have to figure out the place to read aloud. It could be a mosque, as I started. It could be a church, a community center, a school, under a tree, on the stairs in your home. It's up to you. You have to figure out how to gather the kids. You have to figure out how to choose a time and date that fits you and them. And these people who we train are actually volunteers. We don't pay them any money. And this is core, because most of work is all about paying people money, whether as a program or when we help refugees, we pay them money to do the work. No, our philosophy is you do this because you want to for your own community. And if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. So they have the freedom to choose. And when you have the freedom to choose, you always choose to do something. But when somebody forces you, you say, I'm not going to do this for you. And so we succeeded. And also those who we train, we tell them you have to pay it forward. So anything you learn, you have to tell somebody else and train them. And then you tell the other person you have to pay it forward. So in a way, this is good training for me. Thank you. In a way, you all know now about We Love Reading. So you have to all pay it forward and do something about it, okay? So I handed you the torch. So We Love Reading, as a result, has spread now to 46 countries, actually, so we're updating that number. The last one was the Cameroon, and we're really excited where it has spread. Now, the reason it has... Oh, of course, we'll talk about Jordan. The reason it has spread is because it's simple, it's affordable, you only have to pay for the training and then it's for free. It's flexible, so people in different countries have tailored it in different contexts. So for example, in Mexico, it was used by the indigenous people because it was a way for them to read in their native tongue and feel safe to send their kids to learn Spanish in the school while preserving their identity. In Uganda, it was about a woman doing it in her own neighborhood. In other places, it was the community chipping in and buying more and more books. So because of this simple framework, it has spread. And it's sustainable. As I said, you don't have to pay money. We only pay to give them the first set of books. Then the ambassador, we call her the ambassador, goes back into her community with those 25 books, reads to the kids, exchanges for as long as she can keep reading, and then what happens is the community pitches in, or she has to figure out ways to keep on getting more and more books. But she has to think by herself. So she becomes a leader and independent in her own rights. And that's why it's sustainable, because it's community-based, and the community takes it forward. It's human-centered design, because that's how it was done, and it's evidence-based. We do a lot of research, which I'll share with you in a minute. So we've been called a social movement because our cause calls upon people who share the same values to work together to make a difference. So for example, when we were in the Azraq camp doing our We Love Reading, everybody told us that, oh, you're not going to succeed if you don't pay people, because people, refugees, are used to being paid. And we said, you'll see. Of course, we went, we did our training. 2 months later, when we went and visited, these women and men were reading aloud to the kids. And when somebody asked them, like a reporter like you, they said, we're not reading for anyone, no organization, no money. We're reading it for ourselves, for our future, for our children. And they had poetry written. They were actually sharing the program inside Syria over their WhatsApp and phone. So these people are actually really taking it forward and spreading it on their own. Now, I want to focus a little bit on the research aspect because we believe any good program should have research. There should be a good bridge between research and practice. And speaking of Jordan, in Jordan we've already trained over 4,000 women and men, and we've created almost that same number in total of We Love Reading libraries, meaning ambassadors reading aloud in all of Jordan, both in refugee camps, host communities, and Jordanians as well, from the north to the south. So first I'm going to talk briefly about the impact of the program on the child. What we've shown, first of all, that this is rigorous research. We don't do M&E, we do proper research, randomized controlled trials with researchers from local universities and international universities. So in this research, we showed the impact of We Love Reading on loving to read. We also showed that We Love Reading impacts reading practices and reading attitudes. This is work done through with funding from UNICEF and Qatar University, as well as Harvard. That was Harvard. Willingness to go to school. We also tested how does We Love Reading impact the children's willingness to go to school. This was done with NYU Abu Dhabi and Qatar, and we showed that yes, their willingness increases. We also wanted to study not just their reading practices and attitudes, but their behavior. And this is very important in the context of the stress and anxiety and the refugee crisis that's happening, and even in a normal situation. And actually, this was written in New York Times a few months ago. This was research from NYU showing the impact of reading aloud to young children, how it benefits behavior and attention. But the research that came from our work, we've shown by reading children's books about the environment, these are books that we actually created, energy, water conservation, anti-littering, we showed that the behavior went up statistically significantly 80% in these children. We also showed that their empathy increased. This is work with the University of Chicago with Jean DeCiti. We showed that it increased 100-fold just by reading stories for fun to the kids. We also showed that We Love Reading impacted the psychosocial health of the children in the Zatari camp. This is work with Catherine Panterbrick at Yale. We also wanted to study the relationship between the parent and the child. How does We Love Reading impact that? So we actually worked with Brown University with Professor Amso, and we looked at executive function, emotional regulation, and pre-literacy skills. I'm going to fly through the slides here because it's data, and so that we end in time. So why she wanted to study We Love Reading? From her perspective, as an expert in neuro behavior with early childhood, We Love Reading as ambassador, that means it's the adult reading aloud to the children, is reading to the children, and then the children go back home and to their family and share the books and the reading and become the champion. So what she showed is that this, first of all, the age group we work in, which is between 2 and 10, so we work in that age group, that's the window for early childhood, for the brain to do those connections, not just for loving to read, but for changing behavior. So how does reading impact behavior? Now this is a new thing. Usually we talk about education alone, mental health programs alone. We have been able to show that you can actually put those two together, and through a good, rigorous, centered, evidence-based program like ours, you can actually hit both the education challenge and the mental health psychosocial challenge. So how do we do that? We showed that the We Love Reading ambassador can actually impact the child's behavior, not just through the child and then to the family and then back to the child through the parent-child interaction. So this is the unique thing in our program. And she drew this model, a mediation path model, showing that it's not that We Love Reading directly impacts the child. It's through the child's experiences in the home that you're impacting the outcomes of the child. And she looked at 3 outcomes. The pre-literacy skills, your emotional regulation, which actually impacts your education going forward. If you can control yourself, you would do better at school, and your executive functions, which is an indicator of your cognition. All right, slowing down for that, right? All right, so quickly. So these are results that just came out. We haven't published them, so these are not, they're still under embargo. We also are in the process of doing another study with NYU Abu Dhabi, and we're looking at parent-child interaction. We're using these fancy Google glasses. So the parent wears a Google glass that has 2 cameras, one that tracks the pupil of the mother and one that tracks where she's looking at. And we also give the children the same pair of glasses, and we video both of them at the same time while they're playing or reading a book together. And we've been able to show in a pilot study that there is an impact from We Love Reading on this parent-child interaction, as Brown University had shown earlier. So the lessons is this, in We Love Reading for the child, is that we're empowering the child to be the champion. We're fostering empathy and social inclusion. So many of the women who read aloud told us that the kids in the school, Syrian, Jordanian, fight, but in the We Love Reading environment, they're all friends, talking about the books and having fun. It impacts mental health in a very subtle way. So most mental health programs are very expensive. And to roll them out, you need really highly trained people. And We Love Reading is a level 1 mental health program that doesn't need a lot of training. You're just reading aloud and it's the human-human interaction. And in a way, you prevent escalation of mental problems so that you don't have to resort to something more. And then the serious cases will go to the proper programming when it's time. It reduces child labor. So even when children go to labor, especially in a refugee context, there's no school for a while at the border or until an education program gets put in place. So the child in this waiting place, if We Love Reading is being implemented, they are being read to. So they're engaged in reading like a placeholder. So when school comes, they haven't lost that time, and they have that love to go to school. So they themselves will say, I want to find time between my jobs to go to school. So you're empowering the child to go do it because he wants to. And it also works for multiple displacement. So in Plan International, Manar, we worked with Plan International in Ethiopia, and we implemented We Love Reading there, and it solved all their problems. So Plan International in Ethiopia had a safe space where they read to the kids. And who read was social workers who were paid and went home at 4. And they were going to run out of funding. So when they implemented We Love Reading, it was the refugees who were reading. They read in the afternoon, in the evening, on weekends. They didn't care if the safe space closed. The Plan International complained that only boys came, no girls came to the safe space. Well, when the refugees were reading, they knew when the girls would come, where they would come. So there were girls and boys reading. It was like in the hundreds. And when Plan International ran out of money, who cares? The refugees are reading in their own, by their own. And with multiple displacement, you don't have to make another program. They just carry the program with them and go. So it's a perfect solution. And the reason is it's homegrown. I mean, we tried it ourselves, and it's part of who we are. And that's another lesson which we'll talk. The last thing, I have 1 minute. Okay. Impact on the adult. So we thought this program was only for children. It turned out also to be adults. So these adults, when they read aloud to the kids and figure out how to gather the kids and keep this program running by themselves, they in themselves become leaders and social entrepreneurs in their own right. And in a refugee context, this means a lot. Suddenly they have a purpose and they're not wandering aimlessly. So We Love Reading is not just doing kids, education, mental health. It's working on the adults and helping them in their own mental health. And of course, we work with all groups of people, disabled, in different vision and even hearing deficiencies. We've created a virtual community on an app, so all the We Love Reading ambassadors around the world could be connected and talk to each other for sustainability. I'm not going to talk about this. I just want to say one thing. So our program is about building resilience and hope, and not about just stopping the stress, right? It's a positive program. And it's about building capacity in the refugees themselves and the people, not bringing in people from outside. So it's about ownership of the people and having agency, and not propagating the victim attitude that happens with international NGOs coming in with a program that was designed outside and coming in. And it helps them be proud of what they're doing. Last, the impact on the community, you can imagine what it is. And I'm going to end, I'm going to skip it. We're a movement, so we've spread all over. We've won multiple, I'm finishing. I just want to shout out to Jacobs. We won the Jacobs Social Entrepreneurship Award in 2018, and that was really great for keeping us moving. It's all about the butterfly effect. When a butterfly flutters its wings in China, there's a hurricane in the Atlantic. So little things count. So what you do will count on the long run, and you will succeed. Yes, you will, indeed. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to be slower. Yeah. Again, my name is Manar Shukri, and I work with the International Rescue Committee, responsible for the regional technical part of our ambitious project. So let me start by what do we want to do? We want to create hope and opportunity for children. Those children have experienced conflicts and crises, and we want to create that hope for the future and hope to achieve. What do we want to do to achieve our goal? We want to improve children's social, emotional, and cognitive skills so they can grow, develop up to their potential, and thrive in life. We want also to influence policies. We want to make sure that governments listen to us and listen to the needs of the children in crisis for the early childhood development. To achieve that goal, we were awarded a generous award, $100 million from MacArthur Foundation, to work with children faced crisis and conflict in 4 countries: Jordan, inside Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon. So, what are we planning to do, and who's going to do what? We are partners: Sesame Workshop, the International Sesame, International Rescue Committee, and University of, or New York University. Each of us will provide a direction for this project. IRC will be responsible for the direct services, and I'm going to elaborate on that. We're going also to provide the multimedia component. Sesame Workshop will be responsible for that. It contains the famous TV show and also digital content to be used by children, parents, and caregivers, service providers. IRC will be working on developing, adapting materials and the content of the material to work with caregivers and children. We believe in evidence-based approaches, so all the way we're going to reflect and we're going to assess and ensure that we're effective so we can proceed with scaling and sustaining. And this will be the responsibility of New York University. They will inform us about how to proceed in the future. Altogether, we will work to advocate for the rights of the children and for the early childhood development, especially in crisis where there is little attention to the early childhood development. As you have heard for the last two days about the importance of early childhood development for brain development, you have also heard that this is a golden opportunity for children to grow. While we understand that, yet we have problems, serious problems in that sector. We have a problem with fragmented services. We have a problem with fragmented funding, lack of coordination between organizations and governmental entities to work together so they can amplify the impact for children. And especially the issue is for children in crisis. The priority, and this is debatable, like what is the priority when it is a conflict situation? Is it food, shelter, security? And when we're going to set that in the list that early childhood development really count, how can we influence everybody that we need to work on that? So what we're going to do. The direct services for Sesame Seeds project, we have different types of programs. We target parents and we target children. And we have different modality in interaction with parents and children. So we have the high contact, which means the frequency of contacting and getting in contact with children or caregivers differ from one situation to another. We're planning to implement the programs directly, integrating, and this is very important because early childhood development is about holistic approach, is about integrating services so children will benefit more. IRC will be capitalizing on the available services that they are providing for children, for refugee children, and integrating early childhood development interventions and messages into the existing services that we have, both in camps and in host communities. Later, we will partner with partners, including the government, so we can sustain the approaches that we are bringing. So for parents, we're having messages, tips, for them to extend learning at home, because this is important. We have some modules for parent sessions, and we have a home visiting approach that was adapted from the Jamaican experience that has an evidence of its effect on children. And for programs for children, we have, of course, the show, the multimedia show that will focus on social emotional part. We are, as our partner is currently doing the production. We have for children also learning spaces where they can play and learn at the same time, because we believe in learning through play approach, and children will benefit, as the research have told us, they will benefit from that. And we have preschool healing classrooms. It's something similar to a KG, where children will be exposed to different skills and knowledge, and expose them to different behavior and practices that they can abide in the future. Now, if I may ask to play the video, please.
صباح الخير. كيفك؟ Our early childhood program begins in the home, whether it's a shelter, a tent, a crowded apartment, it doesn't matter. كيفك يا أمين؟ The most important thing is that the children need to be with their parents, the first caregivers with whom they will build trusting relationships and learn new things in order for them to be able to build knowledge on the long run. Okay. We give them activities to promote reading, learning the alphabet, counting, a lot of language skills.
تبعت الغسيل شو اسمه؟
كمان الغسيل.
سلس.
We empower the parents with skills to support their child's development. They can play with them using objects that they can find in their homes.
4 5 6 7 8.
We show them how to communicate with their children frequently in a way that promotes praise.
Bravo!
Most of the parents that I work with, when we first meet, they describe their role as shelter provider, food provider, as the one who's making sure that their children survive. Yet with time, they start engaging with their children, and they would say, I used to do this in Syria, but I was not able to do it anymore with my kids. Thank you for helping me.
أصابتني عقدة نفسية، حتى حنان لهلا تحسيه على طول روح أيضاً المدارس، هناك ما عاد فينا نبعتهم على المدرسة، ولهلا بس بشوف ويسمع بحس ضرب أو ألعاب نارية، غزايف يعني هون ما في شيء ماما، هون عادي طبيعي ما عنا، مو مثل بسوريا.
اليوم موعد حفلة عيد ميلادي طنطن.
نحن بنعرف إن الأطفال إجوا من بيئة مختلفة، بيئة فيها حرب، شافوا أشياء ممكن إنه خوفتهم، يعني في عندهم حالة إنه غير الأطفال العاديين اللي هن رايحين على المدرسة، فنحن لحتى نرجع لهم ثقتهم بنفسهم بدنا نحاول نحن نعمل لهم هيك كلهم، نأمن لهم المكان الآمن، نأمن لهم البيئة الآمنة لحتى هن بيشعروا بالثقة. والمدرسة مأمنت له هالشيء، فهن أكيد رح تأثر بالمستقبل، رح يبنوا مجتمع، أكيد رح يكون المجتمع منيح، مجتمع فعال أكيد.
أنا بسام عبطنتن اترك إيدها عبطنتن.
When I mentioned that we're capitalizing on services that already are available, it means that we are implementing in health centers, in protection centers, and women empowerment centers. Wherever there is an opportunity for us to integrate early childhood development messages and modules, we are there. And we're still looking for creative solutions to or pathways so we can integrate early childhood development within those services. The key priorities for this year for our project, we want to adapt and contextualize our model so it can suit all children in the 4 countries and in the different settings. We wanna test, pilot different strategies to strengthen the mental health and psychosocial support component. Actually, this week we're having a first meeting for that. We want to collaborate with Sesame to further integrate the new Sesame characters into the content that we are providing, the programs that the direct services are providing. We want to make sure that there is equality and, between the gender and make sure that it is there and we're responding to the needs of all children. We want to start collecting data, and currently we're piloting the first round of research here in Jordan, then to be followed by the Lebanon, by the research in Lebanon. And from now, we're thinking about scaling and sustainability. So we're thinking about different approaches because different countries, they have different needs. So we're working on that to ensure that all the efforts that we are doing currently will be sustained, and there are buyers to the product that we are establishing now. Thank you, and I believe I was, thank you.
I'm going to present in Arabic, so the slides will be in English, but I will speak in Arabic. مثل ما تم التقديم، يعني بحكي عن حالي شوية صغيرة لأنه لما اجتني الانفيتيشن لاشارك بهذا الورك شوب واعمل برزنتيشن، لقيت انه كثير فكره عظيمه انه نجيب صحفيين ونحكي فيهم عن برامجنا لهم ونشاركهم شو عم نعمل، بس حسيت بمسؤوليه كمان انه يعني هدول شو بدي احكي لهم، يعني اذا بدنا نحكي انا عندي برزنتيشن دائما بنعملها عن برامجنا وبنقدم شو بنعمل لديفرنت اودينس، بس يمكن اول مره بكون الاودينس تبع الناس اللي عم بحكي معهم الباك جراوند تبعتهم صحافه، وحبيت احكي قصص اكثر، يعني حنحكي هلا قصتنا كيف بلشنا وكيف عم نشتغل، قصص الناس اللي عم نشتغل معهم، ودائما بتبدا بقصه. يعني مثل ما حكى بالانترودكشن، انا بلشت اشتغل مع اللاجئين من قبل يمكن 25، ما بدي اكبر حالي كثير بس تقريبا 25 سنه مع اللاجئين الفلسطينيين، وكنت عم بدرس صف بنات صغار صف رابع، فقلت لهم يتخيلوا، كنا عم نعمل اكتيفيتي نشاط، وطلبت من كل حدا يحكي لي شو بتخيل حاله بعد 50 سنه. في بنت اسمها فداء هلا بتذكر، وضليت محتفظه بالورقه اللي كتبت فيها بخطها البسيط، كتبت بعد 50 سنه ساذهب لشراء حذاء وسيكون غالي وسامشي حافيه. وانا اي ثينك بهديك اللحظه اي واز هوكت. مرات موقف صغير بخليك تكمل رحله حياه كامله بالعمل مع الاطفال، بس نعطيهم فرصة يحلموا. يعني هاي البنت ما قدرت تحلم بعد 50 سنة. أنا قلت بتحكي لي يعني مثل هالأولاد هتكون رائدة فضاء ولا دكتورة ولا ما بعرف شو، لا، هي عم بتخيل حالها أنها هتكون حافية. ويوميا بذكر حالي بهاي القصة، ويوميا بشوف قصص بتشبهها من أطفال من سيدات. فهذا بيعطينا القصص اللي أنتم بتشوفوها بالميدان وبتسمعوا عنها وبتكتبوا لنا عنها، كتير بتأثر فينا وبتغير حياة ناس وبتحطهم على طريق ما كانوا يتخيلوا أنهم رح يشتغلوا فيه. بلان برضو بلشت بقصة. هلأ برضو أنا بدي أسألكم، أعمل شوية دور صحفي، كم حدا فيكم دور على بلان؟ يعني شفتونا بالأجندة، منى عباس، بلان انترناشونال، مين هدول؟ كم حدا هيك جوجلد أس، يعني قال لك مين الجماعة هدول؟ أوكي تمام. طبعا. اوكي، هلا انتم بتشوفونا NGOs، منظمات عم تشتغل مع الاطفال ومع اللاجئين، بس نحن مش كلنا بنشبه بعض، وكل حدا له تركيز. في ناس بتشتغل على الصحة، في ناس بتشتغل على الطفولة المبكرة، في ناس بتركز على التعليم، وفي ناس عندها الانتجريتد ابروتش، ولا هذا يعني التدخل المتكامل خلينا نقول والشمولي والتكاملي للعمل مع المجتمعات. لكن نحن كمان في فروقات بيننا وبنكمل بعض وبنحتاج ننسق مع بعض، وكل حدا فينا جاي من قصة. هلا بلان انترناشونال أطلقت بال 2017 استراتيجي بدها تكمل فيها ل 2022 سمتها 100 مليون reasons. 100 مليون reasons 100 مليون girls. ولاقت هاي المؤسسة بعد شغل أكثر من 70 سنة ببلاد مختلفة إنه خلينا نركز على موضوع، بنعمل كل شيء بس خلينا نركز على شيء، لأنه ما حدا بيقدر يعمل كل شيء، بدك تكون في عندك فوكس. فركزوا على الجيرلز وقالوا إنه الجيرلز بكل العالم الفتيات هم فئة مستضعفة بالكونتكست المختلفة، بالسياقات المختلفة والمجتمعات المختلفة اللي بيعيشوا فيها. فهذا تركيزنا كمؤسسة وكشعار وإشي بنحاول نعمل أدفوكسي عليه، نعمل مناداة مناصرة ونعمل تأثير واللي بنسميه influencing على وضع الفتيات بالعالم. بس مش معناه إنه ما بنعمل ولا شيء تاني، بنعمل أشياء كتير. برضو بلان زي ما قلنا بتشتغل بأكثر من مكان بالعالم، عندها تقريبا 70 دولة بتشتغل فيها. في دول بنسميها منفذة تقريبا 50 دولة اللي هي بالجزء الجنوبي من العالم خلينا نقول، اللي بنطبق فيها برامجنا بالأوبريتنج أوفيسز. وفي عندنا 20 مكتب بالعالم بالجزء الشمالي من العالم، هم شغلتهم to fundraise, to make advocacy, to provide support. يعني أسفة فنحن عم نشتغل مع بعض كجلوبال اورجانيزيشن ومنظمة عالمية. طيب تخيلت لازم أقول لكم هاي القصة لأنها يعني ممكن تكون لها علاقة فيكم. اللي أسس بلان بالثلاثينات بال 1937 أظن هذا التاريخ، هو صحفي كان بيغطي الحرب الأهلية الإسبانية. لقى ورقة، وزي ما بقول لكم القصة مرات بتعمل لك تغيير بحياتك كاملة، قصة صغيرة وموقف صغير. هذا الصحفي من نيويورك من التايمز كان عم بيغطي أمريكي، كان عم بيغطي الحرب الأهلية، ولقى ولد صغير معلقة برقبته بطاقة بتقول أنا اسمي هذا ابني واسمه خوسيه، وإنه يعني بالنهاية إنه إذا لقيته فأنا معناه إني انقتلت ودير بالك عليه. فهذا الشخص الصحفي بلش برنامج السبونسرشيب لتمويل أو رعاية الأطفال ضحايا الحرب الإسبانية بإسبانيا ويجمع لهم تبرعات. هلأ هيك بلشت الأورجانيزيشن، هيك بلشت المؤسسة، بس كملت بطريقة مختلفة. نحن مش بس بنلم تبرعات عشان نساعد أيتام أو ضحايا حروب، لا، صار في تنوع في البرامج ومصادر تمويل مختلفة. وهذا العالم الحقيقي اللي بنعيش فيه، إنه إحنا بدنا مصادر تمويل، بنشتغل مع ممولين، بنشتغل مع منفذين، بنشتغل مع شركاء، وبنشتغل مع المجتمعات المحلية اللي بنحاول نترك أثر فيها ونعمل تأثير أو إنفلونس على صانعين السياسات والناس اللي بتترك أثر في هاي المجتمعات. البيربس تبع المؤسسة إنه وي سترايف، يعني رح أخليها مثل ما هي هيك، بس نحن بدنا نوجد أو نتقدم أو نحسن وضع حقوق الأطفال ونحقق المساواة للفتيات بكل العالم. طيب بالأردن بلان ما كانت موجودة ببداية الأزمة السورية. بتشتغل بأماكن مختلفة في الحروب وفي النزاعات، وفي أماكن ما فيها حروب ونزاعات لكن فيها فقر، وهذا الشيء بدنا نعرف إنه كمان بيأثر على الأطفال. مش ضروري يكون في حرب عشان الأطفال يكون عندهم احتياجات وبحاجة لتدخل. أحيانا الفقر الدائم والحرمان اللي مش بالضرورة يكون مرتبط بالحروب بيأثر على فرص الأطفال للنمو والتطور. فبلشنا نشتغل، وهي قصتنا عم بحكي لكم كيف بلشنا نشتغل بال 2016 مسجلين بشكل رسمي تحت وزارة التنمية الاجتماعية كفرع لمنظمة دولية. وعشان نقدر نوصل لمرحلة نخدم فيها الأطفال ونوصل للمجتمعات، هاي بروسس كتير صعبة وكتير طويلة ومعقدة. فعلشان احنا نقدر، يعني انا اللي بدي احكيه انه نحن بنعيش في العالم الحقيقي في تحديات وصراعات كثير بنمر فيها، منها كيف بدي اجيب تصاريح اشتغل مع المجتمعات اللي بدي اشتغل معها، مين بده يسمح لي، مين بده يعطيني فلوس، مين مين الجهه المانحه اللي بدها تساعدني احقق هاي الرؤيه اللي انا بشوفها واللي الحاجات اللي موجوده في المجتمعات اللي بخدمها. فبلشنا عم نشتغل هلا ب5 محافظات بالاردن، نشتغل مع الاردنيين، نشتغل مع اللاجئين، وفي عندنا تقريبا 30 موظف. اللي ما عديتهم هون عدد اللاجئين واللي بيشتغلوا معنا كمان، اللي رح اقول عنهم. عم نشتغل في مخيم الازرق. مخيم الازرق فيه تقريبا 50 متطوع ومتطوعه من المجتمع المحلي، من مجتمع اللاجئين السوريين، عم بيشتغلوا في المراكز اللي اسسناها معاهم. وحقيقة لو احنا ما رحنا على هاي المراكز ولا يوم وما نزلنا بشكل يومي وانقطعنا يمكن لأسبوع وأسبوعين، هاي المراكز حتضل شغالة، لأنه من اللحظة اللي بلشنا فيها قلنا هذا المكان للناس اللي بيخدمهم، والناس اللي بتشتغل فيه هم اللي مسؤولين عنه، هم اللي بيقودوه، هم اللي بيديروه. فكان في هذا الشعور بالانتماء، الشعور بامتلاك المكان وامتلاك التجربة وامتلاك المبادرة. اللي عم نعمله طبعا، انا خليني اعرض هذا شكل صوره، هيك شكله مخيم الازرق لما بتمشي فيه. هو عباره عن كرفانات مقسم لقرى، فيلج. فالناس مجمعين زي احياء بسموهم قرى. فيه اظني بعرفش اذا عملتوا سيرش عليه كم عدد اللاجئين اللي بيعيشوا فيه، يعني مش راح ادخل بهاي الارقام، انتم بتقدروا تلاقوها، اتس اونلاين، بتقدروا تفوتوا على UNHCR ويب سايت بورتال، في كثير معلومات. لكن بهذا المكان المقفر حقيقه، واللي بالصحراء، واللي in the middle of nowhere، عم بنحاول نعمل فرق مع الناس. بدي احكي لكم قصه كمان، انه انا دائما بحكيها. اول ما بلشنا نشتغل، واحده من السيدات السوريات بلشت تيجي عنا على المركز وبلشت تتطوع وتشتغل مع الأطفال. فبتقولنا إنه أول ما إجت على المخيم قعدت 6 شهور ما طلعت من الكرفان، مش قادرة تطلع، مش قادرة تصدق إنه هاي حياتها، إنه هذا هو الواقع اليومي اللي هي مضطرة تعيش فيه كل يوم. شوفوا قديه صعب. والناس هاي ما بتستنى، يعني في فرصة، وخاصة عند الأطفال وعند الأمهات. زي ما حكينا الصبح، الطفل إذا أمه عم تبكي بيشوف إنه في مشكلة، إذا أمه عم تضحك بيشوف الحياة كويسة، بغض النظر. الولد وهو عم يكبر ما بيستنى لتخلص الحرب عشان يرجع يعيش طفولته، هو لازم يعيش هاي الطفولة حتى وقت الأزمات ووقت الطوارئ. وشغلتنا نحاول نخلي حياته هاي قدر الإمكان طبيعية، نحاول نساعده ينمو ويكبر ويحقق كل إمكاناته من خلال العمل مع الأهل، من خلال العمل معه بشكل مباشر. لأنه مش هيتوقف الزمن 10 سنين لحد ما كل شيء يخلص، يعني مش هنخبي الأولاد في الحرب وبعدين نطلعهم ويرجعوا يعيشوا حياتهم من جديد. فبدنا نخلي هاي التجربة قدر الإمكان صح. كيف بنعمل هيك؟ بنعمل تدخل متكامل، بنشتغل مع الأطفال اللي هم بالطفولة المبكرة. ولما بنقول طفولة مبكرة هي كل شيء، هي مش بس انه بوزع دواء وبوزع مطاعيم، هي بدي اشتغل مع الولد بتطوره، مع طبعا الاطفال جميعا مع اهلهم، بحيث اخلق بيئه امنه ومناسبه له تساعده يكبر ويتعلم ويتطور، سواء في بيته او في السنترز اللي احنا بنأسسها. فأسسنا مركز للأطفال، بنشتغل مع اليافعين اللي أكبر عمراً، بنركز على الرياضة، بنركز على صناعة القصة، صناعة الأفلام، كل هاي الأشياء اللي بتطلع طاقات الأطفال. كمان بنشتغل في برا المخيم، نشتغل مع وزارة الصحة، وهذا بتمويل من أيضاً من برنارد فان لير فاونديشن. بنحاول ندخل برامج الطفولة المبكرة والتوعية الأهل والعمل مع الأهل، وبرنامج من أهل لأهل كمان. الأهل مثل ما حكت رنا، الأهل لما بيحكوا، لما بيشتغلوا مع أهل آخرين، هم بيقدروا يوصلوا الرسالة أكثر بكتير ما تجيب موظف يشتغل ويعمل هاي ويوصل هاي الرسالة. وعم بنلاقي الجلسات اللي بيديروها أهل أنجح بكتير من الجلسات اللي عم بيروح موظف من عندنا بديرها. فعم بنحاول ندخل هاي المفاهيم الطفولة المبكرة من خلال وزارة الصحة، لأنه نحن بنترك الطفل من لحظة الحمل يمكن وهو جنين في بطن أمه ليصير 6 سنوات أو 5 سنوات، بعدين بنقول بدنا نتعلم، هلا بدنا نتعلم، هلا بدنا نوديه على الروضة، هلا بدنا نوديه على المدرسة. طب شو كان عم بيصير كل هذا الوقت؟ في 5 سنين ضايعين. فنحن من خلال وزارة الصحة، لأنه الأم أول ما بتحمل بتبدأ تروح على المركز الصحي، بعدين بتولد، بعدين بتودي طفل هذا للمطعوم. طب ليه عم نتركها بدون ما نوصل أي رسالة إيجابية للأم بهاي المرحلة وللأب كمان؟ وبرضه بنركز على أنه إحنا كمان نشرك الآباء، وهذا موضوع تاني كبير بنحكي فيه بمجال الطفولة المبكرة، قديش الآباء والذكور لهم تدخل في نمو الأبناء وتعلمهم. بنشتغل برضو بعمان وبالزرقاء وبإربد مع وزارة التربية والتعليم لفتح رياض أطفال أكثر. وهون وأمنا بين الاستراتيجية الوطنية للتوسع في رياض الأطفال، الوصول لأكبر عدد ممكن من الأطفال يدخلوا في التعليم ما قبل المدرسي، وأيضا احتياجات الأطفال من اللاجئين في أنهم يوصلوا لخدمة ما قبل المدرسة وللتعليم ما قبل المدرسة. فبنستهدف التنين، وهذا اللي أنا برضو بدي أكد عليه، أنه لما بنعمل أي استجابة إنسانية في أي بلد فيها لاجئين بدنا نشوف برضو شو أولويات البلد المضيف بحيث نوائم، لأنه الأطفال سواء كانوا أردنيين أو سوريين احتياجاتهم واحدة، وبالتأكيد الدول المضيفة أو الحكومات هي عندها هدف للوصول لخدمات ولرعاية كافية للأطفال اللي موجودين في البلد. لما بيجوا لاجئين بدنا نوائم وبدنا نضمن إنه الخدمات هاي تشمل أيضا كل أعداد اللاجئين اللي بتيجي. برضو في عنا تركيز على موضوع الchild protection، حماية الأطفال. عندنا مشكلة كبيرة في عمالة الأطفال في الزواج المبكر، هي موجودة في المجتمع الأردني قبل الأزمة، زادت مع الأزمة. يعني أنا بقدر أقول لكم مثال صغير، مؤشرات الزواج المبكر هلا بخلص في سوريا والأردن قبل الأزمة السورية واحدة 12% تقريبا في الأردن وسوريا. مع الأزمة السورية طبعا الأهل بتبنوا إجراءات، أحيانا بيتخذوا إجراءات بيعتقدوا إنها هاي بتحمي بناتهم بتحمي الأطفال، فبيلجأوا للزواج المبكر لأسباب كتير. هذا الإشي بصير في كل العالم، إحنا مش عم نحكي عن إنه بس هدول اللاجئين هم بيعملوا هيك أو هدول اللاجئين الفلسطينيين. أنا اشتغلت مع اللاجئين الفلسطينيين والعراقيين والسوريين هون، الميكانيزم واحدة. إذا بتشتغل معهم بفيتنام حتلاقيها نفس الشيء، إذا بتشتغل معهم بأفريقيا حتلاقيها نفس الشيء. الكوبينج أو الطريقة اللي بتعامل معه وبستجيب فيها الإنسان للظروف القاهرة اللي بيمر فيها متشابهة، لأنه إحنا بالنهاية بشر نشبه بعض كتير. فبدنا نضمن دائما إنه الخطط الاستراتيجية في أي دولة تشمل أيضا اللاجئين. وهون بيجي دورنا نعمل أدفوكسي ونتواصل مع الجهات المانحة، إنه إذا بدك تدعم الأردن، إذا بدك تدعم اللاجئين، شوف الخطين مع بعض. لأنه إذا أنا بنيت مدرسة بروح عليها اللاجئ وبروح عليها ابن البلد، الكل استفاد بالنهاية، وهي مسؤوليتنا جميعا. كمان عم نعمل التنسيق مثل ما قالت زميلتي منار، إنه قطاع الطفولة المبكرة كتير مبعثر، مسؤوليته جزء منه بيروح للصحة، جزء منه بالتعليم، جزء منه بالتنمية الاجتماعية. اللاعبين كتار ومش عم بنسقوا مع بعض، فمش عم نوصل لنتيجة. عشان هيك احنا مع المجلس الوطني لشؤون الأسرة شكلنا فريق عمل للطفولة المبكرة، يجيب الكل، يجيب المنظمات الإنسانية ويجيب الحكومية ويجيب المنظمات المحلية، ونشوف مع بعض كيف الخدمات عم تتكامل. يعني الادفوكسي شيء مهم، التواصل مع المؤثرين وصانعين القرار. انتوا اللي بتقدروا تنقلوا القصة وبتقدروا توصلوا صوت. بس ثانك يو، شكرا.
Thank you all. I'm going to start out by asking a couple of questions, and then we'll take it to the room. First of all, thank you all for staying within time, and also I know you all have a lot more to say. Some of that will come out in the questions and answers, and then over lunch too. As journalists, if we're looking to tell the stories of organizations that are doing remarkable work. We also sometimes need to know what it has taken to get there. And I'm wondering if each of you might be willing to describe an issue or a time that you were really challenged in the course. What's been the biggest challenge you have faced in the course of developing these successful programs? And it may be a time that you really failed at something, or simply a way that you were really, what's a significant challenge you have faced, other than not having enough money, which is always, right, the thing. But anyone want to leap in?
One of the things that I'm happy that I have contributed to, there is a setting I know most of you have heard of. It's the informal tented settlements where Syrian refugees decide to leave the official camp and create their own community using the tents, the usual tents. Usually they move from one place to another. They are family-based community, like group of family, they get together and they move depending on like planting cycle in Jordan. So you see them in Mafra and Jordan Valley. So they lack all the services, name it, all the services they lack it. That, when they started their community, they have the basics, like what they can do. But then the attention was given to the education part. So what should we do for the children so they won't miss the opportunity to grow and develop? I was one of the people who designed the education program and led while I was with Save the Children. So giving the elements that they keep moving, giving the elements that they are a community, they will keep on moving as a group. The fact that their children are missing school with different age group, like a 9-year-old child did not attend grade 1. So with those factors, what can we do? We created a tent. We built the capacity of one of the community member with limited resources, and we kept on planning for them at the beginning lesson plans till we reached to a full curriculum, and we adjusted the model different times to cater for their needs, to really respond to the situation that they are living in, with the objective of returning those children to schools, so they won't miss out the opportunity. This is a challenging situation that took years to solve, and not an immediate solution. And I think we have contributed to thousands of children to reach up to their potential, or to put them back to their track, with an integrated services with the psychosocial support and life skills for adolescent children who are in the community. So basically that was a really, really challenging situation, and I believe we have succeeded.
Yeah, so one of the challenges that we faced, and I'm going to tell it through a story. So we went to train women in Aqaba. Aqaba is a city in the south of Jordan. So we went to train them on reading aloud so they could start their own We Love Reading libraries. And so one woman came up to me and told me, well, why don't you build us a library? You know, this kind of victim attitude, blaming someone. And I said, well, if you really want a library, why are you waiting for me to make it for you? We gave the 2-day training, and then 6 months later, this woman herself, she actually called us up and invited us to inaugurate her real physical library, although We Love Reading is not about a physical library. So what happened, she went back home, and she chose to read in her local mosque. The children kept increasing in number. There were 10, 20, 30. Then she had 75 kids. There was no more space. A local contractor offered to build a room as an annex to the mosque. And she actually, with all the neighbors, got wood and nails and paint, and they actually did a real library. This was 2013. We visited her in December 2018, and this library is still functioning, and it's run by the community. So the challenge here is we think that, oh, we need to come and save these people. We have to give them things. No, it's not about that. It's about empowering them, giving them, trusting them, making them discover their own inner potential. And they are better in solving their problems because they know the problems, where they come from, the root cause, and they can develop better solutions. And these solutions will be sustainable because they came up with them. You know, when you create something, you take care of it. But if somebody gives it to you ready-made, you're going to become the victim and keep demanding and demanding. And I think this is a huge lesson. And this is the rhetoric is a little bit changing in international aid, to change it from just giving to just empowering people, let them become the entrepreneurs, the change makers, the solution creators. And we can help them, we meaning international community, to help them by giving, okay, what skills do you need? We can help you. How can we help you? But let them be independent on themselves.
I can elaborate on our experience with the Ministry of Health to introduce ECD programs in the Ministry of Health. As I said before, it has been always seen that ECD is only education. It's kindergartens, it's center-based, children come to learn, and that's all. It's just, but to talk to the Ministry of Health and to try to convince them that it's part of your mandate to work with mothers and fathers and children at early stages, not only to provide medicine or to give vaccines. And no, we need to educate parents, and we need to work on a holistic and integrated programs, reaching out for children at this early age. And that wasn't an easy task. Not because they disagree, because they don't know that this is part of their mandate. They're focused on the medical side of it. Building the capacity of the Ministry of Health, in creating a supportive environment, creating the knowledge, providing the knowledge. What do we mean by ECD? What do we mean by brain development? What do we mean by early stimulation? All that, like, believe me, even doctors and midwives didn't know this. That was the first time they heard about it. They think that their only job is to get the mother deliver, do breastfeeding, and to introduce some family planning programs, and that's all. So carrying or moving the Ministry of Education staff from the position of seeing no value, this is not their role, to start advocating and asking from their internal budget and internal strategies to focus on early intervention. That was a great step. And to include also all children. It's not only Jordanians or in certain contexts, it's everyone. It's their responsibility to reach all children in Jordan. Doesn't matter where they come from. We cannot, someone this morning said, we cannot wait till the political situation be solved. We need to act, because these children cannot wait for us to figure out and to answer the political questions.
I'm going to ask one other thing, and then we'll go to the room. All of you emphasized the research base behind your work, and that's one very important marker of the seriousness of a program. One of the other challenges that as reporters we all face is an awful lot of programs and NGOs sort of throw their stuff at us hoping to get covered, and it's very difficult sometimes for us to know who's real, who's the real deal, who's serious. In reflecting on your own work, and all three of you are clearly the real deal, right? In reflecting on your own work, if we are looking for markers of success and seriousness in programs aimed at child refugees, ECD and refugees, what are some of the markers that reporters might look for to know this is one to take seriously?
Interesting.
I'll start.
Okay.
And this is this is a great question, and thank you for asking it. And I actually take it myself when I see a new organization coming into Jordan with a new program, with a nice big label of being international. I'm the first one to be skeptical. What is this about? And especially because I have a foot in practitioners and humanitarians through We Love Reading, and I have another foot in academia as a scientist. So I immediately put on my science hat and start, questioning. So the first thing that I look for is, where was this program developed? Who developed it? Was this developed on a table in New York by scientists who are theorizing, or there were real people from the local culture, from those beneficiaries that they are claiming to serve? Were they on that team when that program was designed? To me, that's the first question. I want to see, were those people on that team? And even if they were on the team, I want to make sure they weren't just boxes being ticked. Yeah, we had a refugee on the team. Was that refugee really participatory, putting in her or his opinion, talking about it? And especially in the Syrian refugee crisis, because in particular, the Syrians are very educated. And you have a lot of academics. So they should be on the table with anyone who's designing any program. So that's my first criteria. Who is on that table? Who designed the program? To me, that's very, very important. And of course, it follows in the same mentality and philosophy. Who's implementing the program? Are these local people from the refugees themselves who are actually implementing and seeing? And I want to add a third thing. Although a lot of international NGOs toot up numbers as evidence that we have achieved, it's very easy to gather numbers. How many people, how many things given up, and so on. What I want to look for is what's behind those numbers. How were these people really impacted? Were they really impacted? And how long-term was that impact? Did it stay with them beyond the life of the project? Or when the project ended, everybody went home? And I've seen refugees saying, oh, okay, they're gone, that's it. We all go back to our old thing, because they don't have any ownership and agency in it. So to me, those are the three very important points that I would look at for any program.
Either of you want to add to this?
Yeah, basically it's, I agree, I echo what Rana has been saying, that in Jordan, for example, we have more than 60 international organizations. They're all claiming that they're supporting refugees, 60, even more. Even those who I'm aware of, and they attend meetings.
They are, sorry, aware.
They're there, they're out there. And actually they're competing over funds. I'm going to tell you the real story here. They're competing over fund, they're competing over beneficiaries. So if they establish a center in Zarqa, another organization will establish another center, and they will start to attract the same population and the same community, just to tick the box and to reach 1,000 beneficiary here and 1,000 beneficiary there. That's the worst of it. That's the worst part of it. I can... in front of 25 journalists, I cannot say off the record, but I want. But sometimes we're all part of this. The donors, the implementers, the UN agencies. We all know this, and we just go on and do that. And that's why you don't see them. You don't see these 60 organizations, because they're all the same. They're all there doing, and the same people working in the same organizations. What is really challenging is to have better coordination from all levels, at the field, at the donors level, and how we can be not necessarily donors driven, but we can drive the donors as well, to tell them, to show them the real story and what's going on, instead of they are driving us, because everyone has an agenda. Everyone has an agenda. There's no one without an agenda. But we need to see which is the right agenda. The agenda of being with children, serving the communities, protecting children. And I think this is part of the role that you need to play as well. Yeah.
Just a little thing, Yani, after all these years of experience, I don't think anyone can assure you at the stage of designing that they will do an impact. There is no one can assure that. It's the practice, the implementation, and the reflective model who can tell you this could work with special factors. Sometimes we designed programs, when we started implementing, we went back to the design, like the designing phase. That's why we should all abide by a reflective model that can inform us how to go forward.
Yeah. Journalists, your turn. Mohammed, I want to have the journalists do some questions first, and then maybe a little later. Yeah, go, Ibrahim.
My question is, they say hungry people, they don't really enjoy the sunrise. My ask is for Rana. Do you, if you went to a refugee camp, there are like a basic, like the basic things you see before you work in your program, like what's when you go to like a camp, you check first the camp, the politics in the camp, like how the employees works in the camps. There are the people, they have food enough, they had a basic reason to survive, and all of this, or just to go and putting the program.
And are there conditions that you think are necessary for this to work?
Yeah, great question. And actually, it's a complex answer because different refugee camps have different conditions, right? And if we're talking within the Syrian context, the refugee camps, and I'm speaking about Jordan, have the basic needs covered. Food, shelter, health, better than Jordanians in certain areas in Jordan. That's why there was a lot of strife about that. So that wouldn't be a condition here if we're talking about real practical issues. So that's number one. Now, in general, the camps that we have entered have been camps that have been established before and are there, and it is the role of other organizations, not us, we don't adopt that role, to provide the basics that you talked about, shelter, food, and health, and so on. Our organization is a local organization in that sense, and we occupy a very focused niche, which is working with reading for fun as a resilience program. So we go in not as an international NGO with an office in every refugee camp. Our idea, so that we don't fall into the trap that Muna mentioned about people competing and wanting to be everywhere, we offer our program to any international NGO to take it and use it as part of their own programming. So that's our model of giving, because we believe when it's given through, why would I want to set up an office everywhere? I'm not in it for the money or for anything. I'm in it to reach every child. So if somebody's already there, I would go through them. That's the most sensible way to go to reach every child. And that's what we do. We partner with different organizations, UNICEF and others, RTI at some point, Plan International, and so on. And maybe IRC for that matter. Therefore, that's where we occupy. We don't have to worry about the other things. Now, having said that, yes, for a child to have fun, you're assuming that there's basic food needs, shelter, and health. And we're assuming those are already covered by other organizations.
Rana, when you work with partners, quick thing, do you police them? Do you regulate how they implement?
Great question. So usually in Jordan, we partner with an organization and we run the program in Jordan because we're in Jordan, and we send people. We don't have offices in camps. We send our people to actually implement it. Right? But outside of Jordan, like we did with Plan International in Ethiopia, no, the model for outside of Jordan, in any country outside of Jordan, is that we partner with an organization like Plan International. We train their coaches. So their coaches are employees with them. We train them, and then they go and do the training. And so the coaches become part of an international coach network. We make sure that they're doing it right, and we give them training as a boosters every year. And then we monitor the training itself because we give the certificates in the end. So we make sure everything was done right, and we have certain reporting and so on to make sure that the training was done properly. But then we can follow up with every We Love Reading ambassador through our mobile app. So we have a network, an app that every We Love Reading ambassador trained by us directly or through someone else They come onto our app. We can see when they're, it's like a Facebook community, it's a virtual community. So we call it the Global Ambassador Network. They can post when they read, where they read, stories, pictures, and they can control who sees it and who doesn't. And through this, we can actually build reports and include extra KPIs if an organization wants additional KPIs than the ones we've built into our app. And this is how we share and we know what's going on in that sense. But it very indirectly, because we also, our philosophy is these are volunteers, they're reading because they want to read, not because we're paying them. So we can't be too invasive in saying you have to report. So this is a nice tool to know what's going on without actually, asking them to report.
Yeah. So, yeah, go on. Reem.
I will speak in Arabic. Okay. مرحبا، أنا ريم عايشة بسوريا. بدي بس احكي على فكرة عن وجود عن منح الممولين للجمعيات اللي عم تشتغل بسوريا. مثل ما حكيتوا كتير في جمعيات عم تكذب بالتقارير اللي عم تقدمها للممولين، ممولين عم ينخدعوا بالتقارير اللي هي عم تتقدم. أنا اشتغلت بجمعيتين وشفت هذا الشيء بشكل شخصي. أحد الصحفيين بسوريا حاول يعمل تحقيق عن السرقات اللي عم تصير من قبل الجمعيات وكيف عم يخدعوا ممولين بأنه هن عم يحكوا على اسم الأطفال واسم اللاجئين بقلب سوريا. هذا الصحفي تعرض لخطر وتهديد من قبل الأمن إنه لازم يوقف التحقيق، بالتالي هو وقف التحقيق وسافر برا سوريا. اللي بدي أسأله إنه نحن كصحفيين هل نحن لازم، يعني عم حس في مشكلة إنه عنا لازم توجه للممولين لحتى نحن نوعيهم إنه في جهات هي ما لازم نحن نمولها، أو لازم نتوجه للاجئين لحتى نعرفهم على المشاريع اللي عم تشتغلوها. نحن هلا أول مرة أنا بعرفها، ما كنت بعرفها صراحة. أو لازم نتوجه للمجتمع الدولي لنعرف إنه في مناطق هي تفتقر أساسا لوجود هاي المشاريع أو هاي الجمعيات، وهي ما فيها أي شيء من اللي عم ينشغل بغير مناطق. فأنا بدي أعرف شو الأولوية لنا نحن كصحفيين نشتغل على قصص. فبس هيك.
Good question. Thoughts, anyone?
ما بعرف إذا عندي جواب يعني، بس كل حدا فينا عنده المنصة اللي بيقدر يحكي منها. يعني بدي أقول لك هذا مش بس بصير لما بمولوا جوا سوريا، حتى هون بيكون المركز بعيد عنك نص كيلو والشريك المحلي عم بضحك عليك وبيوزع كتب على ولا حدا وبيجيب قرايبه وبيدخلهم بالهذا وبيعطيهم كاش. هذا بيصير وين ما كان. هلا في ضوابط عم بتصير جوا المنظمات اذا عم تشتغل صح، انه احنا مثلا نطلب من كل المجتمع الموجود في رقم تليفون، اذا حسوا انه في اي تجاوز او في احتيال او فرود او هيك بيتصلوا، بنعمل تحقيق، بنوقف الشغل وبنحاسب الجهه اللي بتنفذ معنا. هلا الصحفي بتخيل دوره يمكن مختلف، عنده منصته اللي هو الاعلام اللي بده ينشر هاي الحقيقه والإعلام له دور. يعني إحنا كلنا يمكن ما بعرف إذا بتتذكروا القصة السكشوال اكسبلويتيشن اللي صارت قبل فترة من بعض المنظمات الدولية، وطلعت قضايا إنه بعض العاملين في المنظمات الدولية في بلاد مختلفة بالعالم عم بيستغلوا اللاجئين والمنتفعين لتقديم خدمات جنسية ومش عارف شو. هاي تقارير صحفية وعملت اثر كبير وعملت ضجه وخلتنا كلنا نراجع الكود اوف كوندكت تبعنا والطريقه اللي بنشتغل فيها. فالاعلام هلا ومع السوشيال ميديا في كتير. هلا المشكله انك مين تصدق كمان، لانه في مثل ما انت عم تحكي عن شيء حقيقي عم بصير، في ناس عم تحكي عن ناس عم تشتغل صح انها مش عم تشتغل صح. فصار الفلتره الحقيقه هاي شيء ما بعرف، كتير صعب. ما بعرف إذا يعني ما في جواب، أظن ما بعرف.
Yeah, Andrew. Yeah, Andrew, go.
So I'm curious from the We Love Reading and Sesame Seeds. Oh, excuse me. When you're creating a library or putting a library together or designing materials for this Sesame Seeds program, how much is available in Amharic in Ethiopia in terms of children's literature? How much work do you have to do to make Sesame Street characters locally specific in places where there isn't necessarily, I mean, I know there's an Arabic Sesame Street, but is there a Rohingya Sesame Street? Is there an Ethiopian Sesame Street? Is there a large body of children's literature already? What are you, how much work is that? Is it translation? Is it, yeah, I just,
So we do the books. We do the children's books, and I got a few actually here, so you could look at them. What we do is there is some amount of children's literature in Arabic, since we're talking about the Arabic context, but not enough. And so we, as an organization, have taken upon ourselves to actually create more children's literature. We already have 32 different titles, and these are really rigorous. It takes us a year to produce one book. I mean, in parallel, we could produce many, but it takes a year for the life of one, because we don't have, it's not just about fun, it's about an education psychologist on board, it's about a language, and because it's in the native language, and we want it to be adapted in schools, to be approved by schools and ministries, to have all the proper, while maintaining it for fun, mind you, keeping that balance. And we have like illustrators, and everything is local. The illustrators are local, the writers are local, so they know the language, they know the context, and that's why our kids love our books in terms of content and culture and colorful, and the quality is very high. I mean, the vice president of Scholastic saw our books and she wanted to buy the copyright, and we refused. We said, this is a nonprofit. Sorry, Carol, I don't know if you know Carol Sakoyan. And we said, no, these are our books, and that's what we're going to do with them. So to us, this is very important. And as we spread internationally, the motto is that you have to find books in your local language. You can't read in English in Ethiopia. That's not about your culture, identity, your mental health, and really loving to read. And we're also, I mean, it's good to translate sometimes, but usually, I mean, that should be the second priority. The priority should be local language, local culture, local context. And our plan internationally is you either buy something local or we help you develop new stories from the kids themselves. And we've done that in other places where they can create their own content and make it into stories.
Mm-hmm. As for the Sesame, the characters are representing characters from the region, with the aim of showing the children the situation, how they can live their life, learn skills cognitively, or the social and emotional part. It focuses on the social and emotional part. However, we have in the region different languages. It will be either dubbed or translated into Kurmanji. Whatever the need is for Iraq and Syria, it's going to respond to the need of the children and the caregivers. Whether that the TV show or the digital content, it will be provided to children so they can relate to it. Mm-hmm. Other than the Sesame Seeds, I don't know, about Sesame Workshop beyond Sesame Seeds, because I'm still new and I need to learn more. But I believe this is their aim, is to work with the children with their own language, with their own culture, and their own context.
Mm-hmm. Linda, did you want to?
I'm sorry I asked a lot today, but I think I drink Red Bull or something in the morning. After food I will be okay. Yeah, thank you for Muna, because you mentioned that there is a 60 NGOs work here in Jordan, and it's a huge number actually, but the government figures, they said that Jordan, the refugees, that the Syrian refugee actually, cost the government it's near of $1 or $1.5 billion every year. Is it this number including these NGOs or no?
I don't think I'm the expert to answer this, but the figures are calculated through multi-sector analysis, and which includes the cost of water, housing, infrastructure, كل هذا الحكي. Sorry? Security. Yeah, the security, everything. The international NGOs, they bring money to bridge that gap and to cover that gap. The support comes to Jordan through different channels. It's either direct support to the government of Jordan, يعني للبudget, للميزانية, part of it goes through international NGOs to implement and work in communities and on more of a grassroots level. definitely هلا خليني يعني let me elaborate on this. We all know that we all have commitments, a humanitarian commitment to support refugees and people in need and vulnerable people. But we've been saying this in Jordan for a long time, and I think this applies for all hosting countries, that as a host country in the region, with all the problems and challenges we're facing, we cannot pay the price of the Syria crisis consequences. There are international players in this crisis that they need to be involved. Europe cannot absorb half the number of refugees hosted in Jordan alone. And it's not fair sometimes to ask only the hosting, like Lebanon or Jordan, to pay that price, while they stop them on the borders of, and now of Europe, trying to have programs to stop refugees going to Europe. A lot of programs, a lot of support coming from different, because donors are governments. It's the US government, the UK government, the German, these are the donors basically. If we exclude like smaller donors here and there, but these are the major donors that contribute in millions and billions.
Okay, we're gonna have to break for lunch, but two bits of business I want to do before that. First, do any of our experts and donors here want to comment either on this panel or anything else this morning? Any other points? Yeah, Mohammed, go.
Actually, just to answer your question about how to know the best organization, I think you need to do another job. Actually, there is something called sphere standard, minimum standard. So I advise you to read this and then go to every organization and see if they are following these standards and choose the least worst of them and report about them. So, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else back there? Yeah. Go, Katie.
Sorry. I'll just add one quick point on Sesame. I don't work for Sesame, but since we partner with them for so long, we've gotten to know their model, and they have a really interesting way of where they bring in local writers, and so they've done trainings here in the region with Syrians, with Lebanese, with Jordanian, and with Iraqi talent, and those are the actual writers that are creating the content for the new educational show. And you, as many of you may know, the Rohingya language is not a written language. And so the new show that will be created for that context is a really interesting way of being able to provide content in their own language, which we're not able to do through books and through other means. So, yeah.
Okay, good.
No, just one very short comment that I think is a challenge that we haven't really talked is about the metrics on how you measure many of these behaviors like storytelling or responsive caregiving or even breastfeeding in this kind of context. And I think it's very important because if we want to show any kind of evidence, we should start talking better about how we use these metrics also to inform better towards the external world. And I think this is, with so many challenges, we haven't really pointed on this.
Yeah, so before we go, I also want to give our speakers here an opportunity to invite you as a sort of extracurricular activity to do a little visiting. Why don't you take it from here?
So we are in Jordan, so we would love to invite everybody to come and visit us in our offices. Our offices are near the 6th Circle. I mean, you can contact me. My email is in my card here. We gave you our bookmarks that has our contact information. So for those who want to arrange for a visit anytime this week, next week, we're here. We live here. We would love to have you to share. You want to dig deeper, know more. We also have some material here, magazines about success stories, challenges that refugees have faced, or other people who implement We Love Reading, brochures, some of our books you could look at. So you're all welcome. I have to comment on your comment, if you don't mind. In terms of rigorous research, you're absolutely true. To do good research in a humanitarian condition is very difficult. But with We Love Reading, we've been able to do it, and we're publishing our research, which is very well done. It's published in academic journals, not just an M&E report. So this is important for reporters to distinguish between proper research and just an M&E report. So all of us, our work is all proper research, and it can be done. But the key is to have local people with you, local scientists, local implementers, local field workers. You build their capacity, and you get the local people engaged. The Syrian kids love it because it's science and we want to know how it works and so on. But it has to be local and owned, and then you can actually do it.
My comment will be the hosting countries, the majority of them I'm talking about in this region, either they have a fragile system or semi-fragile system. They're not able to cater the needs of their own children. They are all our children. Any child is our child. But to work better in situations that is frequently happening in this country, we need to strengthen the system of the government to be able to serve everybody, to change our strategy and plans and secure sufficient fund for this age group so we can all together work to cater for their needs. And that's a thing that if I want to influence you to start thinking about it, how to advocate all the government, all the donors, that when you strengthen the system, you will be able to serve more. Thank you.
Okay. And we will be distributing everyone's contact information, so if you want to arrange site visits or anything, you just do it directly. Lunch, and after lunch we talk shop. Oh, well, you go. Oh, no, sorry.
No, one last thing that you can please visit our website. It's www.plan-international.org. You can find a Jordan page under that. You can have my contact there, my photo and my email. We're happy to host you, and we have a communication team, a small communication team, which is our internal media team in the office and globally. So we would like to have you as a support to that team. You're welcome to visit our centers as well. Just drop me an email and we can proceed. Yes.
Okay, thank you all.